VikesNow. I am Dustin Baker. As you can see on the screen, I'm here with Christian Darrisaw. How are you, big man?
Doing good. How you doing?
Not bad, not bad at all. So the Vikings season kind of prematurely ended against the Giants about 3 weeks ago. What have you been doing in the meantime?
Really just took 2 weeks off to reflect on the season, everything that we accomplished, and I've been working out here in Minnesota for the past week, and I plan on getting out of town this weekend and then start training in Dallas.
Oh, okay. So where do you permanently live? Do you have a permanent spot?
Oh no, not yet. I'm still figuring everything out where I want to buy that second home, but I'm here in Minnesota right now.
All right, fair enough. All right, I want to get into some questions. I got about five or six for you about last season and then this season. So you just say what comes to your mind, big man. All right. About 7 months ago, during training camp, some NFL analysts visited camp and started to say that, this guy, looks like Trent Williams. And it was a humongous comparison. That's like the LeBron or MJ at your position. And then you showed up and backed it up. So what about your process enabled you to make the huge leap in year two?
I really feel like it was just having that full off season. For me, it's always been something. Whether it's been back in college, I really haven't had a full off season since my freshman year. Going into my sophomore year, I had surgery, and in my junior year, that was COVID year.
Yeah.
And then coming out of college, I had to deal with two adductor surgeries leading up to training camp, and I really didn't have like that full just like getting your body back into it, that routine and everything like that. So just having like that full off season, coming off the season healthy, God bless, and just taking it from there, and the rest is history. Yeah.
And then that brings to mind the concussions that showed up in the middle of the season. Were those a new bad thing for you?
Yeah, so I never experienced that ever. So it definitely was a different feeling. Like you would see guys get concussions, and you were like, you just be like, man, like you're praying for them. And I
Mm-hmm.
was in that situation, and just not knowing when I was going to be able to return to the field, feeling like myself and everything like that. But God willing, I was able to overcome all those things and get back out on the field with my boys.
Amen. And was there a certain moment, like I guess after the second one, where you knew like, all right, I'm good? Was there like a day, or did the coaches or trainers tell you, or how did that work?
Oh, it definitely was a day. Because it's like trying to like you gotta clear certain levels, like certain steps,
Mm-hmm.
and like the symptoms you definitely can feel them when you have them. And when you're out there, I was out there just like doing like my regular routine, like workout, a non-contact practice, and I kind of just felt like myself again. And so I kind of just felt like, yeah, all that's past me now, and I can get back to playing a ball.
All right. I want to ask you about, from what you know about the upcoming season. We're still 7 months away, but there's a chance that the roster undergoes some significant overhaul, especially on defense. And then yesterday, Brian Flores was hired, a mammoth hire to lead the defense. So is it your opinion that this 2023 version of the Vikings will once again be all in for a Super Bowl, or do you foresee it as more of a transformational rebuild type of year?
Oh no, I don't think it'll be a rebuild. I think the goal for all of us in the locker room is get to that game. But it's definitely going to be a few new faces in the locker room, and some faces gone. But we trust the people who are upstairs making all those calls. They're going to give us the best opportunity that we can have to go out there and win these games and hopefully get to the Super Bowl next year.
So during the season, there were so many close games, and then there were a couple unfortunate beatdowns against the Cowboys and then the Packers. So a lot of the NFL body politic wasn't convinced that the Vikings were the real deal. And then, of course, you guys lost to the Giants. And it seemed like, based on the interviews afterward, that there was real disappointment that you guys really thought you could win the Super Bowl. Was there a championship vibe going into the postseason that we can do this damn thing?
Oh, it definitely was. All season long, we kind of felt that. We kind of had that energy. We kind of had that feeling. Just from that Green Bay game, game one, week one.
Mm-hmm.
It was like we really can make a run at this team, really make a good push, and just to come up so short the first week of the playoffs, it hurt for sure. But we all got that feeling and that taste in our mouth, and we're gonna be ready for it next year.
Back in October or so, we get a couple sweet win streaks during the 2022 season. And then after the road games, we started the chain routine with your quarterback, Kirk Cousins. And I'm pretty sure you created the nickname Big Kirko from the way that I went back and read through all of it. So was there like so you were with the Vikings in 2021 and then O'Connell came in 2022. Was there like a distinct change in Cousins? Or was the Big Kirko thing just kind of a cool nickname?
Oh man, so it started off as Kirko. I feel like my rookie season. That's what we would call him, or I would call him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of like the swagger got turned up a little bit. You seen him put the chains on, no shirt, and it's just like Big Kirko now, man. But he's just having fun. You can definitely notice the difference though from last season and this season. I feel like from the whole locker room, like everybody was loose and we was just having fun.
All right. In that vein, the offensive style, in my opinion, was uniquely different from the Zimmer Vikings to the O'Connell Vikings. So much so that with Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, and the gang, the Vikings ran the ball the third least per play calling. Do you think that the Vikings should run the ball more? Should you guys run the ball, or are you cool with this pass?
Uh, definitely run the ball more. We got the backs like we had, Dalvin Cook and Deuce, and we'll see how everything plays out this year. But when you got two guys in the backfield like that, you got to give them the ball and the touches. But whatever KOC calls, we know we got to strap down, be ready for it, and hopefully everything works.
Yeah, I mean, it did to an extent. You guys won 13 games, but then when you kind of do an autopsy on the season, a lot of the teams that tend to go deep, not necessarily, they don't like, it's not the 1970s where you have to run, but in terms of time of possession and not letting the defense get tired, it seems like the teams that make it to the end, kind of like the Eagles in your conference, have the ability to run the ball. So I was curious, going from that contrast to the Zimmer wave, give the ball to Dalvin and we'll figure out the rest on defense. It was quite the change of pace.
Definitely was.
Aside from, so your first season, the Vikings went 8-9, kind of a whimper, underwent some coaching or significant coaching and front office change. But aside from winning, what was the biggest difference in the culture from 2021 to 2022?
I really think we always had that culture.
Okay.
Like the guys in that locker room, we always been tight. Even coming in as a rookie, I would hear stories just how some vets would be like just pushing away. It's like the younger guys and not like really want to talk to them. But the guys in the locker room, like just all team friendly. They care about we all care about each other and things like that. And I feel like we were in these type of games last year, but we were just finding ways to lose. And then this year, we're just finding a way to win the game. So it's kind of just like that type of vibe.
Yeah, I noticed that vividly. And I even at this time last year, I would dig through some of the stats, and it was like you guys were this close to being about 12-5 last year. And exactly. I'd get called a homer. And I'm like, no, seriously, like they were this close in terms of surrendering, points in the final 2 minutes of halves. And then they fixed that for the most part, and boom, you went 13-4. One of my final questions is about it's out of mere curiosity. So Wes Phillips is the offensive coordinator, and then Kevin O'Connell was hired as the play caller and presumably will stay that way. On a day-to-day basis, when you're at practice, like what is the percentage in which you interact with Coach Phillips and Coach O'Connell from your job standpoint?
Probably day-to-day, I'll probably say 50-50.
Okay.
Like when we have our offensive unit meetings, Coach West, he's running everything. But as far as that goes, we're usually in the O-line room dealing with Coach Coop and things like that. But I'll probably say 50-50. Like some days you'll see Wes at practice making the play calls, and Kev might be on the defensive side of the field and things like that. So it's probably 50-50 during practice.
All right, cool. All right, I have one final question, and it's it's a softball for you, but I'm curious because there are like 20 moments to choose from. Like we talked about, the season was a roller coaster. Almost every win was a complete suspense thriller that you couldn't script in Hollywood. So what was your top moment as the starting left tackle of the Vikings of this 2022 season?
Either the coach game, we're down 33-0 at half, just trying to find a way to get a touchdown and get things rolling in that game or that Buffalo game, man, it was crazy. Seeing JJ catch that catch, I was in the locker room unfortunately because I had got a concussion during that game, but just seeing like how the team fought and everything like that, like, and those are the type of moments like during the year. It was just like we know we can get to the big game, and we just came up short. But yeah, those 2 moments for sure were special.
When you trotted out of halftime in that Colts game, we have the famous quote from Patrick Peterson that said, "All we need is 5 touchdowns," which will live in Vikings lore forever. When did it start to feel real? Like, shit, we can do this thing.
Man, it was just like during that first half, it was like a lot of self-inflicted wounds, and it was kind of like they weren't doing anything to really like beat us. Like we were beating ourselves. I feel like, but once we got that first touchdown, we got rolling. Yeah, the rest is history.
yeah, it is. I'll tell you this really quick, funny story. I had a writer, Yannick Eckhart, who writes for my website. He's from Germany, and he came over stateside for the first time. His first game at your guys' stadium was the Colts game. And at halftime, I'm like covering my eyes, saying, I can't believe that I made this his first game. And after the first possession, you guys didn't even score in the third quarter. And I turned to him and said, "You want to go? Because it's going to be an hour and a half worth of just getting their ass kicked from here on out." And he's like, no, I want to stay. I don't know when I'll be back. And I almost caused him to leave the greatest comeback in NFL history.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It is. All right, Christian Darrisaw, I appreciate it. You have in 2023, you got some All-Pro, Pro Bowl goals. What kind of goals are you setting? Or is it Super Bowl? Or you got all 3 of them? What do we got?
All 3 for sure. Keep the main thing. We're trying to get to that Super Bowl. I'm gonna do everything in my power to do what I gotta do to help the team win. And whatever comes along with that, it comes along with it. But yeah, for sure, definitely get into that the big game next year in Vegas.
All right. Well, I sincerely appreciate you joining the show. I hope that you'll come back. Maybe I'll hit you up this summer when OTAs or whatever start. But that's all I got. Christian Darrisaw, everybody, and Skull, baby.
Hell yeah.